Welcome in to the first edition of the Mixed and Mastered podcast with AK
and MJ. We're going to be talking about Culture 2. We're going to be talking about Rich Brian's upcoming album, and we're going to be talking about our predictions for the 2018 XXL freshman class.
Let's go. First things first, though, Culture 2 is out now everywhere. The sequel to Culture 1 has finally been delivered to us. We've been waiting a minute, and it's here. Now, I'll give you my 3 favorite songs of the album after one day of listening. Key to note, only one day of listening because it dropped last night at 11 p.m. Haven't had a lot of time to listen to it, but I listened to the full album in full. You know I'm doing that. Top 3 songs, Superstars, White Sand, and you gotta listen to Gang Gang, my favorite song on the album. The melodies, the Migos sound is just so diverse there. I just love that transition from that trap feel to that nice little melodies and romantic song. I like Gang Gang a lot. And then White Sand, that's an anthem right there. That's a DJ Khaled type anthem. That's a Ty Dolla $ign, Big Sean, and Travis Scott led song with the Migos on it too. Wow, big time song. And then Superstars, another song that dropped before the album as well as Motorsport. That song dropped earlier this week on Zane Lowe's Beats One radio show. That song propelled the album in sales for sure because that song's been out for this whole week and it's been getting a lot of listens.
All right, so going into Culture 2, I was really, really hyped just based off the 2 singles and how great Culture 1 was. So for me, my favorite songs, like AK, it was White Sand, and it was the 2 songs produced by Murda Beast, and Gang Gang. Those were my 3 favorite songs on this thing. Anything that Murda has put out recently, I've really liked. I'm really anticipating his project with Smoke Perp. But going back to Culture 2, I was really anticipating this album, and I was really let down, to be honest with you. I didn't think that it lived up to the hype that it got, and it's tough to give the Migos a pass on this one because of how hyped that was.
You gotta give them a pass, though, man. Culture 1 is insane. Tell me sequels that have been better than the original recently. Like, nowadays, you get the original and you expect better from the sequel, but you got to understand how hard it is to top Culture 1.
Right. Well, one thing I do like about this album is that they decided to go outside their boundaries a little bit, especially on songs like Narcos. There was kind of a Spanish vibe in there. Didn't really know what Takeoff was doing with his little Spanish accent in the chorus, but
yeah, what was good with that?
That was funny. And then I liked the song with Post Malone as well. It was kind of another song where they kind of stepped out of their boundaries. That was definitely a cool track.
Yeah, and then you look at Culture National Anthem, man. They've been gassing that for a minute, too. And Culture National Anthem wasn't anything special. I'm not putting my hand over my chest and saying the National Anthem to that. I'd rather say the original one right now because at least that one has more structure to it. This song was just all over the place, in my opinion. And Top Down on the Knopf, that song was not that lit either. These songs were all just so gassed, it seemed like. And when you only add 10 songs out of 24, it's not a good album.
All right, so we got to talk about this. We got to talk about the Drake feature. Drake had one of the coldest verses on this album, but it was on arguably one of the worst sounding songs.
Not arguably, the worst song on the album. I can tell you, Walk It, Talk It, the worst song on Culture 2.
All right, so I guess if we would have to give our ratings now, I'm giving this album a round of 4. I can't really give it anything much more.
4? What?
Well, my main reasoning behind that is because I was so hyped going into this album, and I felt really let down after listening to Culture 1 and all the singles that they put out. What would you give this album?
Now, the AK way is going to give Culture 2 a 7.5, simply because I understand how hard it is to top a sequel. I put out a radio show every week. I put out videos every week. You got to understand how hard it is to just keep improving on every single project. I know you're supposed to do that, but with 24 tracks, it's not even a fair assessment because their label probably told them to put 24 on there, to be honest. They probably didn't want 24 tracks on there. Quality Control is moving them right now, and with 24 tracks on an album, there's so much room for failure, so much room. So if you look at those 10 songs I added, picture it being Culture 2 with 10 tracks, like Culture 1 had 13 tracks. A 10-track album on Culture 2, that would be an 8.5 in my opinion. So 7.5 is just because, yes, only 10 songs out of 24 are listenable in my opinion. But still, 10 tracks, gotta give it a 7.5 for me.
All right, so what, in your opinion, is next for the Migos? Do you think it's going to be more solo work? Do you think it's going to be another Culture 3? Well, what do you think is next for these guys? Because after this album, I mean, you would think their hype could die down a little bit.
I actually think it will die down a little bit, but personally, this album will sell well first week. It'll get 100K first week just because of the rollout, just because of the promo, the interviews they did with radio hosts. They had a lot of promo for this album, a ton of events for this album, listening parties, all these things with media outlets. It'll sell 100K first week. But in the future, long term for the Migos, their hype is slowly dying down. I see 2019 just them going extinct, kind of, to be honest. But this year, they have Takeoff and Lil Yachty. That collab tape will be coming in the summer. Offset and 21 Savage did something in 2017 Without Warning. Then you had Huncho Jack Huncho with Quavo and Travis Scott. They're not going to have any solo projects, I don't think, but they'll always have those little collab type albums with other artists, and that'll keep them relevant, I think, in 2018 and in the future.
All right, so going off that, what would be your favorite out of the collab albums that have dropped so far? Would it be Huncho Jack Huncho or the 21 Savage Offset tape? For me, it's Without Warning. I didn't think there was a miss on that thing. But when it came down to Huncho Jack Huncho, I was so hyped going into that because based off songs like Oh My Decide, one of Travis Scott's best tracks ever. And I was kind of let down a little bit besides a few songs. Like I really liked Saint Laurent Mask. I thought that was a really good song. And there was a few other good ones, but overall I was really disappointed.
I have to disagree with you there. Without Warning was not my favorite one out of those two collabs. Travis Scott, Quavo, what's a better combo out right now? Huncho Jack Huncho was one of the best albums of 2017, in my opinion, like top 15 at least, I think. That album as a whole, it wasn't as great as it could have been just because we have high expectations for Quavo, Travis. Like he said, Oh My Decide, one of the best songs this decade on Rodeo. Check that out if you haven't listened to that yet. That song's still relevant today. But there's two snippets that I was looking forward to for Huncho Jack Huncho that I didn't get. Rerun and Lo-Fi. If you want to go on YouTube, type in Lo-Fi, type in Rerun, you'll see snippets all over the place. It's been out for a minute. The snippets will never be dropped, it seems like, because we wanted it to be on Culture 2, and we didn't see any Rerun, we didn't see any Lo-Fi. So those two songs right there we're going to be waiting for a long minute. But those two songs right there have a potential to be hits. And with Huncho Jack, though, they had a lot of different stuff on there, and it was better than Without Warning, in my opinion.
All right, moving on to our next topic, we're going to be talking about Rich Brian's upcoming album called Amen. Now, Rich Brian, he's from Indonesia. He's been popping for a little bit, but now I think he's primed to blow up. What are you anticipating in this album?
Now, he dropped a song titled See Me. If you haven't heard that yet, type that in on Apple Music, type that in anywhere. Google, it'll pop up. See Me by Rich Brian. Yes, he changed his name from Rich Chiga. We need to talk about that for a second. He said that he always wanted to do this. Now, originally, I thought he was just going to go by Brian, but then he went by Rich Brian. I guess that's his way of staying relevant with the name because people will think, oh, wait, just Brian now? Who is that? But they hear Rich in front of it. It stands out still. Rich Brian. That's his new name. That's how he's going 2018 and in the future. Amen will be a big project. This dude is so good and no one even knows. He has so much good music out. That song 18 with Trippie Redd, that's out now as well. That's a single. That probably won't be on the album, though, I don't think. That's more of a single that was incorporated with a lot of artists that all should get the same money for that song because there was no features. It was just like a whole song, just all the artists together in one song, it seemed like. It wasn't like featuring. It was just one song overall. 18 is the title of that song. Big song. Rich Brian, 2018. It'll be a big year for him. I'm telling you, people that you never thought would even know of Rich Brian will know about him after Amen drops February 2nd, 2018.
All right, so when I first heard of Rich Brian, I think it was on a video of other rappers reacting to him on 88 Rising, their YouTube channel. I think it was like Tory Lanez. Not really sure who else it was, but it was a really funny video, and I think it was a reaction to Dat Stick. That was the first time I ever heard of Rich Chiga / Rich Brian. So now, finally hearing him blow up, I mean, it's pretty crazy. The song Gospel that came out last year, I thought was a really great song with X, and I think it was Keith Ape on it. And so what do you think the limit is for this kid? Do you think he can really blow up, like really become mainstream?
I really think he can because he has that overseas look already. He's been on tour. His tours are insane. His tours are wild. Watch videos, man. He goes crazy at concerts. I think he can be mainstream 2018. And with these albums that have been dropping recently, nothing's really blowing people away. So if he comes in February 2nd, he doesn't have a lot of competition on that day either. We'll talk about Gunna's album that drops the same day in a second. But on February 2nd, he has a lot of potential to just take over that day, that Friday, which is next week. He'll be able to put on for a lot of people and just take off in 2018.
I think this is a real big moment for Rich Brian's career because everybody, I'm going to guess that this hype for Culture 2 kind of dies out next week after everybody realizes like there's only around 10 listenable songs on it. So this is definitely Rich Brian's opportunity to capitalize and really put his name out there.
Yeah, he has to capitalize on this one because this is the album that will propel him to success if it does or if it doesn't. Sorry to him because he deserves it. But there's no album out there right now that can say will overtop the album when it comes out because nothing's dropping anymore before that album. Culture 2 just dropped. That'll probably die down so soon because of what we just said, how it kind of flopped. But then you have Gunna as well. YSL Gunna, YSL for Life, Young Thug's team. Gunna's dropping on February 2nd as well. And now he doesn't have that mainstream look, so he won't compete really with Rich Brian. But he has features like Lil Uzi Vert, Young Thug, Lil Durk, Lil Baby, and Lil Yachty, and Nav on that project. It's titled Drip Season 3. Look out for that on February 2nd. It's 17 tracks now, and pre-order is available now. So February 2nd, we have Rich Brian, and we have YSL Gunna. Two guys right now that aren't household names, but have potential to be. Rich Brian has more potential to be because of his mainstream vibe already with Dat Stick and other singles that have just gone viral, it seems like. But Gunna, he's very talented as well, but he doesn't have that mainstream look, so he'll always be kind of behind the scenes doing it. But he's always putting out good music. I'm listening to it. Hopefully you guys listen to it as well because 17 tracks from Drip Season 3, I bet you can find more than 10 that are good, unlike Culture 2.
Yeah, definitely anticipating that one too. Some really good features on that. I think that's a great way to put your name out there in the industry is to hop on tracks with really, really prevalent artists. That way their fans can listen to that music and then see a way to view your music. You're really putting yourself on a platform with features like Young Thug, with Lil Uzi, with Nav, who have huge fan bases, like cult followings.
Absolutely, and like with Rich Brian, he'll be able to market himself without features too. But Gunna needs the features. Culture 2, it seemed like they needed that feature from Travis Scott just to make that album listenable, it seemed like. So with Culture 2, that feature was necessary. And now, moving on, transitioning to another topic, XXL Freshman List 2018. That's coming out very soon. Predictions are circulating everywhere. We couldn't help but see them all, so we're going to be discussing that now. There's 10 spots on the XXL Freshman List. Now, key to note before I get into all this, there's artists that are going to decline the offer to be on the XXL Freshman List based on them being too big or it's too late even. T Grizzly, I believe it's too late to put him on the XXL Freshman List because his song blew up such a long time ago, it seems like. He doesn't have enough out right now to say, all right, he's on the Freshman List. He might even say no if he gets offered. Cardi B also, she's just too big, it seems like, to be on that list. She'll probably decline that. And there's only 10 spots, so it gets tough to choose. Who are your initial predictions to be on the freshman list?
All right, so I have like a few locks for the list where if they're offered the spot, they're definitely going to take it. So I think Ski Mask will definitely be on there. He's really blowing up right now. There's talk that he's going to be on the A$AP Rocky album. He was just in the AUG video that they shot the other day. I think Lil Pump, I don't know if he'll turn it down or not, but if Lil Pump is an option, if he's going to say yes, he's going to be on the list. There's no way he's not. He's completely blown up. Gucci Gang was one of the biggest songs last year. And then finally, I'd definitely say Trippie Redd, bringing kind of a different sound to XXL, something they've never really had before. So that's my locks for the XXL freshman class.
Those are your locks. So my locks, I would say, like 100% sure thing, done, signed, sealed, delivered. 6ix9ine, lock. Trippie Redd, lock. Smoke Perp, lock. Ski Mask, like you said, lock. Lil Skies is a lock. I'm telling you, after his recent album, Life of a Dark Rose, he's a lock for the XXL freshman list, and he'll be more than humble to accept, which is why I like him even more, because he's so humble and appreciative of what he's getting right now and this whole vibe he's getting. Lil Baby, lock. NBA Youngboy, lock. And Lil Pump, lock. Those guys will all be on the XXL freshman list. The only guy I see saying no to it is Lil Pump, because he thinks he's so big, and I know he is big right now, and he just opted out of a contract. He's on to bigger and better things financially, so he might be like, no, I don't need XXL, so he might say no, but those guys are definitely locks. Now, you just mentioned A$AP Rocky. We can't avoid talking about A$AP Rocky right now. 3 days in a row, 3 tracks. What's new? That's new, because A$AP Rocky hasn't dropped in such a long time, and we're hearing rumors about a new project, whether it's a mixtape or album titled Dummy, that's dropping very soon. I heard today it was going to drop, but it may not. It may drop. We don't know. But you said Ski Mask might be on that project. Og shit is coming out right now with a lot of new videos on that website. A$AP Rocky is pushing. 2018, is it his year or is it too late for A$AP Rocky?
All right, I definitely want to talk about A$AP. The 3 tracks that came out, they didn't sound finished at all. He didn't put them on iTunes. He put them on the Og SoundCloud. So it makes me think that it's not really 100% the final sounds, which is really why they sound really choppy to me. They don't sound finished at all. They don't really seem to have the top level production that we've seen out of Rocky from years past.
Which is good and bad, because it could be good because it's like, oh wait, we're getting these songs out of the way. He's just dropping them, Lucy's, stuff that's in the vault that he's want to get rid of, and now he's going to put out a really great project. Or this is a bad sign that A$AP Rocky has lost his mind and is about to go on some stupid stuff in 2018 and just put out bad music. But I don't see that happening. A$AP Rocky knows what he's doing. He has what it takes. He'll put out good music 2018.
All right, so for me, Rocky has always been one of my favorite artists, so I'm really anticipating this album. For me, I think that his next wave is going to be something different, because we've heard the traditional Rocky on his first 2 albums, and then on At Long Last A$AP, we kind of got like somewhat of a slower vibe from Rocky. And on this album, I think it's going to be a lot more up-tempo. I mean, he's had the huge hits this year, like Raph. He's been doing a lot of stuff with Playboi Carti, Lil Uzi, people like that. So I think it's going to be a lot more sounding like that with a few traditional Rocky songs and just a traditional Rocky album. And one thing that I know is that to be something to make you feel happy is that A$AP Rocky, he has put out demos of his tracks before, and they haven't been the finished version, and people have been like, what is this? Like they're doing right now. So I think that's a really good sign, and that's something to take away from these demo tracks.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not worried, to be honest, about A$AP Rocky. I'm just so confident he'll put out a good project. So we'll see when that drops. We'll talk about that extensively. I'm talking like full-on episode, just A$AP Rocky, once that drops. But that's just a hypothetical for now. We're going to wait on that project to drop before we really dive into that. Now, we have to talk about Lil Wayne. He came heavy with D6 again every Christmas. You're guaranteed to get a new project for him. But tonight, I've heard that D6 Reloaded will be dropping. What do we think about that project?
Well, I'm excited. I thought D6 was pretty good. It was definitely a step up from D5. And usually Lil Wayne's Reloaded albums are sometimes a lot better. I mean, we've heard a few snippets for this Reloaded, and it does sound better. And it sounds like he's really flowing well. And it sounds like some old Wayne shit, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. Wait on that, but be ready. This was our first episode of the AK Way times Matt Jordal, mixed and mastered with AK and MJ. That is a wrap with this one. I'm going to give you 3 songs to hold you over till the next podcast. We're going to do this every week. 3 songs you haven't listened to that you should listen to before we talk to you next. These 3 songs are La Modelo featuring Cardi B. That's by Ozuna. 1,000 Ways, Jay Critch. And the last song, Phone featuring Nav by Smoke Perp. Listen to those 3 tracks and get back to us in the next podcast.
All right, final thoughts. Something that you guys need to look out for. Sir from TDE dropped an album last week. It's kind of a slower R&B album. I thought it was pretty good. I'm really anticipating what he has for the future.
We out. Peace.